talk to Garrett after lunch.
Hi, Garrett. Just a second, guys.
Look at that.
I'm gonna tell him that when I get to
got some long toes.
I'm gonna tell Jimmy
How
that.
do you get to heaven and she's gonna be like, Jesus, let me see your
Jesus,
sexy leg.
let me see your legs.
Let me see your
Yeah,
abs.
toes. You can see the toenail even over there.
That is crazy.
Okay, now, we're gonna get closer. Okay, this is where he signed it. It's the strap across her chest, and this is the Latin. It says right here. And the translation is Michelangelo Buonarroti of Florence created this. There's a reason that he did that. Because when he finished it and they first moved it into the Vatican, there were a group of people who were around it, admiring it, right? And Mike was in there also, just kind of haunting around the back areas. And somebody in the crowd said, "Who did this?" And someone else said, "Oh, it was so-and-so of Florence, not Michelangelo, someone else." Okay, and that bothered Mike. He couldn't stand it. He wanted people to know he had done that. So he actually came back that night and with candlelight and chisel and put his name on there. Yeah.
I would do
I'm
it.
sorry,
Take
I
that,
wouldn't decide
Simon.
on anything if I had to chisel it in either. That would just be monotonous and really hard.
Especially when your name's Michelangelo
Michelangelo Buonarroti.
Buonarroti. Yeah, see, that is his last name, Buonarroti. Most of us don't know that. You don't hear that name.
Just like Raphael's, you don't know Raphael Santiago, but
Right.
All you hear is Raphael.
Raphael. Yeah, not Sancio. Sancio is not a name that you hear very often. And with Leonardo, most people know him by Leonardo, or sometimes they call him also by Da Vinci. But we all know these people by their first names. That's right. But he did not want it to ever be misunderstood again who created this. Now, I will tell you this. In his later years, he deeply regretted that he had done this. He viewed it as an act of, what's the word I'm looking for?
boastfulness.
Huh?
Boastfulness.
Yeah, pride, exactly. And he was ashamed of that. He wished that he had never done that. But, he was 22. He loved the piece. He didn't want anybody else to think, that someone else had done it. So, how can you go back and erase time? Well, you can't, right? You just have to live with it. But it is something he regretted, and he doesn't do it again. We just know his works by the style and the way he, people who study art and study particularly sculpture work, they can look at a piece and understand how it's been chiseled and worked with and know which sculptor has done it. I know that seems ridiculous for you and I to think, how do you do that? But you actually can.
But they study that stuff like they're alive.
Yes.
Look at the folds and the creases and everything though. Like stone shouldn't be
How
able to
did
do
you?
that.
How could you do
You
that?
had a freaking hammer and a little spiky thing.
I know. It's like butter. It's like butter.
It's not. I just don't see how he
But
did
then
it
you
without
was
breaking like the folds where he would. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
how did they transport it anywhere?
It's very heavy, so you have to be very careful. And when heavy things like this are moved over hundreds of years now, there is damage that does occur. So in today's world, we're in over the 2,000-year mark now. We're in 2013. We try not to move things today, obviously. We try not to move things, but in the 2000 mark now, things have been moved all throughout time, and there has been damage to things. And she is not without damage.
It's not perfect.
She's not perfect, not anymore.
That makes me sad.
In late 1970s, there was this man here that looks like he's being lowered down. His name was Laszlo something. Crazy man, nice old crazy man.
Is he dead?
I don't think he's dead now. I think he's still alive. I think he lives in Australia, if I remember correctly.
Did he damage her? Cause
Yeah, he did. And you see where she's at there. You see people are freely walking there. That's because you used to could view her what is known in the art world as in the round, which means you could literally walk around the piece in the round. And my mentor, when I began teaching at Yukon High School, was in Italy in the 60s with the military, and actually went to the Vatican, and he saw her in the round and actually touched her. And I've always you can imagine how I feel about that, you know. So every time, his name was Tom Colley, my mentor, the man that I hope to be when I grow up one day. I would like touch his hand, the hand that he said he touched Pia Tomic, and I'd be like, oh, you know. That's how I always did Tom. And Tom and I actually, my first trip to Italy, Tom was with me, and so that was really something for us to get to see things together. You know, I mean, with my mentor, wow, that was exciting. My first trip. Then my second trip, he wasn't with me, but he did get to go on the first trip with me, so that was very exciting that Tom was with us. But he did get to view her in the round as you're seeing here, open like this. Today, this is not open anymore. It is all behind bulletproof glass, which I will show you in a minute, because of this man, yes.
Did he shoot her?
He did not shoot her, but you can't shoot her either.
If he shot her, then that
Did
would
he
be
like
very
punch
expensive.
Jesus in the face or something?
He had a hammer, and as you can
Did he
see,
knock her
the
hand
virgin's arm. Look at the virgin's arm.
He knocked her
It's
hand off.
gone. Look at her face.
Oh, I thought I was okay, right here by her.
Yeah. I'm going to show you the amount of damage that he did to her before somebody pulled him off. I mean, it was shocking.
Why?
Because he claimed that he was Jesus and apparently pissed off at his mother. I don't know.
Because he's a donkey's rear end.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know,
He's punching Mary.
It needs to be shot.
Right? I mean,
I'm
you don't
surprised.
have answers for that, right? Do you? Why would you do something
I'm
like
so
this?
surprised they didn't hang him.
Did he get put in jail?
He was put in jail.
Hallelujah.
He was, what they actually did to him was he was put in a mental institution for a couple of years. He didn't serve jail
Which is
time.
way
He
Well, that doesn't count.
served in a mental institution. That's what he did.
Pretty much.
So this is actually the only photograph. I have no idea who took this, but someone took this photograph at the time when it actually happened. Snapped this picture when it happened, and this is that man, Laszlo, whatever his name is.
Did they knock him out?
I mean, they attacked him, yeah, and drug him out, yes. In the late 70s.
What did he do?
I want to say
He knocked
He
her
took
something.
a
arm off.
hammer to Mary.
He attacked it.
He attacked it.
Why?
So now I'm gonna. So you her face.
I would.
Now all the pictures I've been showing you beforehand. Have you noticed this?
No.
So they did a dang good job, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they fixed her now.
Right. They did a darn good job.
I thought
Right?
that she was still left like this and I was heartbroken.
No.
I know. It's like one day I want to go see
Everything
it.
I've showed you is all the
Was that man
restoration.
put to death?
Okay.
No.
He was put in a nut house for several years.
Wait,
Oh.
so
this how
Does he roam free now?
Yes, apparently not. Sorry.
This is what he
All the
did to
pictures
her.
I've been showing you are in color, so they're all now.
Okay. So it's after she's been restored. But this makes me very, very angry.
Yes, it should. Should. Okay, now look.
angry he didn't do a good job.
Holy
that?
That's her
crap.
arm. He knocked her hand off.
This is all the pieces, even her nose here. They even picked up as much dust as they possibly could because you can put this back together, pack it back together, and put it use it as filler where it needs to go. And who knows where they end up putting it.
So they used the original.
As much as they possibly could. Yeah,
So, but did they keep everything that was?
as much as they possibly could. You know, every piece they can find and put
So
back
how
in
much
there.
of it did they use?
Huh?
As much as they possibly could.
Everything.
Say, shut up.
All there.
Such a cure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look at the tiny, even all the dust particles, you know, tiny pieces that somebody's gonna have to puzzle back together. Talk
That
about
man
being a
is
puzzle worker.
so
They
stupid.
would not. I would not want to be there.
He's so dumb.
I imagine being in the Vatican that day when this happens.
Hearing
I'd
the crack
cry.
of it.
I probably would have cried.
And people did. They wailed. I mean,
Oh,
they were just in absolute shock. I mean, that's why he got so much damage done to her, is because
Hi,
people
Jared.
went into shock.
I
You
would
know.
have killed him. I would have literally yanked him off and strangled
Yeah,
him.
let's be realistic.
So now this is a shot. It's the same room that I showed you a minute ago, but see, this is all bulletproof glass now. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you take that picture?
Yeah, this is one of my shots.
That's a beautiful shot.
Rocket
And in front of the glass, there's this little altar. And then there is a rope that you have to stand in front of, so you can't even touch the glass. You can't
Because
get
of that
nowhere near it.
stupid man. Stupid.
This is the closest you could get.
You know what would bug me if the dust bunched up on the inside of that glass?
That's true. Do they clean her off?
Yes, they do. There's actually a door on the inside that the people who work in the Vatican and live in the Vatican can access her, but no.
Can you
public
imagine
doesn't have
being the
access.
person that gets to clean them?
No. Yeah, I was paid to be the person that gets to clean her. I will pay you if you just let me clean her, but no, they don't let you do that. So again, we look at her now, knowing what damage has been done.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, her face is remarkable.
Yeah.
You know,
So that means you don't see the dents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't even see like the cracks in her
Do
nose.
have the people that have seen it before say that it looks just alike? Is there any difference?
Well, I didn't I never asked Tom that question if he thought it looked the same. I don't. That's a question I've not asked. It's a good question, but I've not asked that. But you can see here, Jesus was not wearing a pinky ring. that is some damage that was done. I think that happened once during a move. Okay. So now we'll move on to David.
I would feel like the biggest jackass ever if I hit him and a finger broke.
Oh wow, yeah, that'd be tough when
I would literally.
I wouldn't tell anybody. No, I
Like
wouldn't.
they wouldn't know.
quietly.
Hey,
I'd flee the country.
oh, shoot, that's the wrong work. I was working with Michelangelo on the Vitruvian Man, which is obviously.
I'll just change the name at the top. Alright, and let's see, we'll get a closer look here. Michelangelo is the artist, obviously. It is at the Academy in Florence. It is created from a discarded chunk of stone, and it stands a little bit over 14 feet tall.
That's pretty massive.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
I feel like someone wants to say something about that. But everyone's just waiting for someone to do it.
Why would
Like
anybody
there's
want to say anything?
anticipation in the room. Yeah, it feels like it. Like there's an
Like, everyone's
Again,
waiting for me to
like
crack a joke about it time later.
Why?
Say.
We've seen nudity already. Nothing to say about it.
I wasn't going to crack a joke about it.
This is David from the Bible. We've already seen a version of David from which artist?
Oh, I know that.
One of the early ones.
Raphael.
One of the early ones,
No,
right?
it wasn't Raphael.
Alright.
It was
Leonardo.
No, we haven't done Leonardo yet.
Donatello? Donatello, very good. And that one is called David in Bronze. You remember what David in Bronze looks
He
like?
was kind of
13-year-old
girl.
A 13-year-old
Standing
girl.
on the head
That's
of
pretty
the-
good.
Staying on the head of
Not being
Ryan.
rude.
No,
Just
no.
you know.
It actually is a pretty good description, though, about a 13-year-old girl, David Braun's beautiful face. He does have such a sweet little face. You just want to kiss him. Not exactly the David that I envision when I think about David from the Bible that killed the giant. This David might be a little beyond that one also. Okay, this David is Michelangelo's vision of David that has already killed the giant, or not already killed the giant, is going out to meet the giant. Donatello's David had already killed the giant. The head was at his foot, as we already discussed. This David, Michelangelo's David, is going to meet the giant. He's prepared to go. and you see the determination in his face. There's no fear in this David. He knows his God is with him. You remember the story in the Bible. David wasn't afraid, even though he was just a child, really, just a young boy. And there's a giant out there that had already defeated armies. God had told him in a dream that he would be with him and he would defeat this giant. So he had no fear. He believed in God. That is in the face of this David. What Michelangelo gives us in this David is a Greek god, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very powerful, very strong. I mean, this is a hero, right?
He's got really big hands.
Absolutely a hero. And in doing a little bit larger hands and a little bit larger feet, we kind of see the awkwardness of an adolescent. That's
Yeah,
what.
because his hands look like primate hands.
Okay, you know that weird little stage of about a 13 or 14-year-old boy when they're awkward, you're tripping over your feet. All of a sudden, what the heck? My feet. You've got that stage here, but also I don't know how many 13-year-old boys have six packs like that. Not a lot, maybe some. Did you, Mason, when you were 13?
No. No.
Okay, well, you know, California dreaming, whatever.
What's he have in his hand?
But he has the stone in his hand. And literally when you're there, you can't view David in the round. You can walk all the way around him. You can see the stone in his hand. It's fantastic. What he has in his other hand here, the one up by his shoulder, is the strap, the slingshot.
That's what I was talking about.
And so the stone's in the
The
little
stone
hand.
is in the hand that's down by his leg. Now, what Michelangelo also has done that is so absolutely perfectly human and brought humanity to a chunk of stone. And I want you to think about Gothic statues like this, straight up and stiff, right?
Mm.
Now, this absolutely human-like pose, you got to strike it 1,000,000 times a day. In art, it's called contrapposto. Hit it now. You put your weight on one leg. Okay? We do it 1,000,000 times a day. You don't think about it. It's just one of those tiny little things that make us human, right? Little bitty things about us that we do that make us human. In art, like I said, they call this contrapposto. So you see it in statues and in paintings and stuff. You just add those tiny little elements to something that is stiff or is not going to move, and it gives it humanity. It gives it movement. It adds life. Okay? Isn't that fantastic? So simple. It's like pure genius to think of something so simple and just adds that life to it, you know?
I find
Yes.
it ironic.
Yeah.
Did he make it like that big just for it to be big, or was it like more symbolism because he defeated a giant, or did he just want it to be big?
That's a really good question. It actually doesn't have anything to do with the giant story, but that would be neat if it did. It was supposed to be placed up high on a cathedral. You know, like at the Vatican, you see way up high at St. Peter's Basilica, all those statues that are way up high. This was supposed to be sitting way up high on top of the cathedral, but after it was done, they decided not to put it up there. And so that's why it was done so tall at 14 feet. So it doesn't have anything to do with the
Why did they decide to not
symbolism
put
of
it
that. Probably because they just liked it so much. They're like, we're not wasting
aren't
that
they-
way up high like that. We want people to see it. You
Aren't
know?
they only saints that are up around the top too?
At the Vatican, yes. I didn't mean that it was meant to be at the
How do you
Vatican. It
become
was
a
the
saint?
church.
How do you
Yeah.
become a saint?
Huh?
How do you become known as a saint?
The Catholic Church designates, so you're canonized. By
What's
the
going on with
Catholic
his little calf there?
Church. Okay, this is actually like a log, part of a tree.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Or
just
becoming
place him in nature, natural setting.
Okay.
Okay.
So have you touched him? I bet you have.
Did you touch Jaden?
You can't touch him. You cannot touch him because
So somebody
David himself is over 14 feet, and he is up on a pedestal that is about this tall, I think.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
That's
so
my
you can't even
bookshelf.
get close.
I could
No.
You could probably touch his feet.
You
Yeah, I can
could
touch the
if you
bottom
could
of
get
it.
close enough, because then there is glass around that. So you can view him in the round, but you can't get up to him. Now, with that said, after the Pietà was attacked, somebody attacked David also. But because he is so large, they only got to his feet before they pulled him
So
off.
his feet
Oh,
kind of got.
Just a little bit of damage, but they were able to fix it. Yeah. And I don't know who it was. I don't have that information down.
Wow.
And what I wanted to show you here, if you notice, this picture is actually transposed. They
Yeah,
actually
that's what it
stands
looked
the other way. I have no idea why Life magazine did not catch that, and they printed it in their magazine this way, because it doesn't go that way.
Split from the one that
Right. But what I wanted to show you guys was, this is how you view David. When you come into the museum, the entrance, if we're looking down this hallway, the entrance is actually off to my right. There's a shop, a museum shop off to the right, so you don't see David at first. You're in the museum shop off to the right. Then you have to go to the left to come into this hallway that we're looking at here in this picture, and you look right down that way, and he just glows that alabaster white, and he's in front of you, and it's just a fantastic setup. It's just really beautiful.
Really put everything into perspective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
didn't even know you was there.
No, I was looking at that painting and
Holy
then like
crap.
all the other little statues.
Oh, they're not little.
Well, you know that.
Yeah, I'm really going to put it in their perspective in just a minute, because I'm going to show you somebody restoring him, and they're right there at his face.
Are they like as tall as his kneecap?
Well, you're fixing to see. Fixing to see.
Oh my goodness.
Now, these
That
people,
was a disregarded piece of rock.
it was, because the artist before him had actually they ordered this chunk of stone, and when they got it, they saw what they thought was a fault line in it, and they didn't want it, so they disregarded it. They just like, well, we don't want this. So the marble company, had put it like in their backyard basically and said, no, this has been discarded, we're not going to use it. So he was walking past it, and was like, okay, well, he was working on the Pietà at the time, and he would walk past that every day, and then he kind of decided, as I told you, he would always look at the stone and wait for it to speak to him. And he said that one day it talked to him and said what it was, that it was David, and he said, I want that stone. And so he got it for basically nothing because it had been discarded by the other artists. It had a fault line in it, and he worked around it. He was able to make it work. I mean, when you're an artist, and if you see a fault line, you have to be careful, because what if you don't know. You can't risk it. You can't risk putting, what could be years worth of work into something that is not going to stand, But he did. He took the time.
That is so big.
But you see now what I'm talking about, that you can't reach it, And then here's the lady.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's,
Look at his ears.
Yeah.
Oh, they're massive.
Gosh, his ears are as big as her head.
Yeah.
Definitely the goofy teenager.
The university that came and cleaned him was actually from the United States. They're the ones that did the restoration and cleaning process on him. Now, the sad thing about the cleaning, not this cleaning process, but a long time ago, why he looks like cement. Doesn't he kind of look like cement? It's not
Do
pretty
they
like
power
marble.
wash it?
Somebody a long time ago in a cleaning process stripped his patina off of him. He had a beautiful patina on him, and it's been stripped, and you can't fix, once you strip marble and mess it up, you can't fix it. It's not like any other stone or anything else. So he's damaged that we can't fix it, but so we try to maintain what's there, but that's why he looks like that. It's not pretty marble like what you saw at the Pietà. Of course, the shine on the Pietà, remember those pictures, how shiny that was? You know how much he had to rub that with his own hands to get a shine like that. He never worked with another piece like he did the Pietà, but this did not look like that. This looks like ugly concrete instead of beautiful marble. And it's because someone who didn't understand what they were doing did strip the patina off of it. We do know that he did have a patina on it. It didn't look like what we see today.
This is gonna sound weird, but it almost seems fitting that he looks this way because he was going to be a hero, but he hadn't just reached that point yet. So
Right.
he's still like an ordinary boy. He's
Yes.
not like Mary, who's mother of Jesus.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's bad that he did that, but
I know.
It fits.
it fits. Yeah.
It's, you're right. Now,
It's a big deal.
let's see if we can look at that face. All right?
I
See
like
that?
Oh, you can even see like his eyes. That's
His eyes are kind of crazy.
Look at that. He's determined,
You
isn't
can
he?
almost see like he has like it almost looks like he has hair for
Like, oh shit, I'm probably that guy.
No, there's no fear in that. I don't see any fear.
Why does it
This is
almost look like he has
absolute
cuts
determination.
around his
Yeah, just make
lips?
a wiki.
He's ready. He knows that God is on his side. This is absolute what fearlessness looks like.
Those little cuts
Courage.
around his lips are like, I don't know, why are those there?
That's his game face, guys.
Got a game face on. That's
Don't
right.
miss it.
But bring it, Johnny.
He almost looks like
Whatever.
because those cuts, and then he has like a couple of little like spots, and he really is hitting that awkward teenage stage. You know, the acne.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a good-looking
Fine.
teenager.
Yeah.
His pupils almost look like hearts.
Yeah, they do. The way they're cut.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to get people.
Now, this picture is actually not the marble. This came from the university. When they cleaned him, they also did X-rays and stuff because they wanted to check the stress on the marble. So they did these 3D images, and I wanted to show this to you to show his back. This is what his back does look like, though. And isn't that really realistic? Of somebody standing there, you know, you can think of a young man that, you know, you guys are your brother. If you guys have brothers or cousins or whatever, I can't tell you how many times I've seen my brother stand like that. You know, and it just brings back all those memories. Seeing my brother stand like that in the doorway or, you know, in the kitchen or whatever. It really is so realistic looking, you know.
Did you see the butt crack too?
Well, I have, yeah. My brother, you know, run around the house naked.
I thought I had
You can tell like he has long hair and he was all tied up.
I just thought this
That's good.
standing there.
This is the strap of the slingshot that he used right here.
I don't think I ever looked at it this morning. It was like,
And again, this is from the university.
Oh, why is
The
it?
marble doesn't actually have all these little, weird, yeah, I mean, it has some veining, but
That's so cool.
they're checking they wanted to check the stress and things. But I just wanted you to see again, that stance is so remarkable, so
I love how
lifelike.
you can see the little things on the back of his hands.
Mm-hmm. And there's the hand as it holds
the
the
finger
stone.
has a crack. Looks like it's got a ring on.
Yeah.
Oh, just imagine the person that had put that finger on.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're probably making jokes.
On there.
I wish that I cannot find a picture of the reverse where you can actually see the stone, but he is actually holding a stone in his hand. But look at these blood vessels and the knuckles and the fingernail, for God's sakes. Huh? Look at that. It's ridiculous.
I
isn't it?
noticed on Mary's hands, her hands are not very feminine. Did you notice that?
I didn't really notice, but.
Yeah, just
I hope someone makes a statue of himself.
Okay, so what happened?
I thought that was Poseidon. Well,
I know, I thought so too.
One more thing is I was talking about the stress. In the chunk of stone, there is stress. Guess where the stress is?
where the fault line is.
At the bottom. On the outside of it, like on the.
Well, you're kind of right at the bottom. The stress is where the weight is. I mean, Michelangelo has David.
So it's on that leg.
It actually is on, yeah, it's on the leg. I mean, the weight of the statue is on the leg that he's standing on, just like a real human. And so there is stress there. They don't think it's a danger, though. There's no actual fractures or cracks, but they can see that the stress is there. So that is something they'll maintain and watch. I'm not sure how they could fix it, but they are aware of it. They are aware. He can't sit down, so it's nothing they can do about that. But I've always thought, you know, that's kind of weird. It shouldn't be. I mean, he is standing on that one. He's been standing on that one leg for about 500 years, so he's a little tired.
I bet it'd be great.
I don't know, I got really tired yesterday and I'm just an hour.
There's no room in there.
Okay, so the next one we'll look at is Moses.
It really does look like Poseidon.
Yep, he does.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, it was on purpose, but not to look like Poseidon.
Look like Zeus.
No,
Problem.
to look like Moses.
Look like Moses?
No,
Because
but who else would he supposed to
They're
look?
Christians.
Moses, that's it.
Really, it really just looks like
I'll explain it to you.
Maybe Moses was Poseidon.
This is actually the headstone to the tomb of Tricia II, which is it's in Rome. It's not far from the Coliseum because I have run the gauntlet to see it. When we were there last summer, we saw that we were not going to get to go to San Pietro, is the name of the little community where it's at in Vincoli. San Pietro is the name of the cathedral.
He is ripped.
But in Vincoli.
Dang.
And
Nice.
so we were like, okay, we had to decide what to do. It always turns into story time, doesn't it?
Always.
So there was a group of us who I taught, just like I'm teaching you now, about this piece, and they really wanted to go see this piece. So I said, okay, here's the gig. We're going to the Coliseum. We're supposed to go down into the Forum after the Coliseum, and all this other stuff right here together. And then we're going to meet and get on the buses and bust out somewhere else. I said, okay, here's our only shot. After we go to the Coliseum, we're going to have to forego the Forum and run the gauntlet to San Pietro, or you're not going to get to see Moses. It's the only shot. We got no other time to do it. And so there was a group who decided to go with me and what we lovingly now call running the gauntlet. And that was my daughter and Darian and Zach Brooks and Stephanie Salas. And there was one other. I think it was Robert Snodgrass. There might have been one more, but I know there was at least 5. I want to say there were 6 of us. I can't remember who that other one was. But there was at least 5 of us who went, and I stole from the group, and we ran out on our own after we saw the Coliseum. And everybody else was going down into the Roman Forum, which is the ancient downtown, where the Senate is and where Julius Caesar stood, and Mark Antony said, "Friends, Roman countrymen, lend me your ears." It was bury Caesar, not to praise him. Never mind. Okay, another story.
Who's Caesar?
I know. So, anyway, they made the choice, and they went with me. And we ran the gauntlet to see him. And so he's not buried in the Vatican. Julius is not buried in the Vatican. He's buried in San Pietro in this little area called Vincoli, which is San Pietro. It means St. Peter's. It's a little church.
I wish I looked like
This is part of the entire wall over there is his tomb, and this is the headstone for that. Okay, so this is part of the problem of the relationship with Julius and Michelangelo. You need to understand that Julius changed the design of his tomb 5 times. 5 times.
Oh my God.
Okay, now the thing with that is, some of those design changes were after Michelangelo had already created statues to go on them.
For reals?
Yes.
He's worse than a girl.
Yeah. He's way worse than a girl because statues are not easy to make.
No.
Okay?
Unless you're Michelangelo.
But, there are 2 statues in the Louvre that are called the slaves. That are Michelangelo's, the only Michelangelo pieces they have in the Louvre of sculpture work. And they are from one of the designs that Julius discarded because they didn't go on anything else. They only went on the one that Julius says, "I don't want this anymore." Blah, blah, blah. And so, they constantly were fighting. So we ended up with this one. And Moses is the centerpiece for this, and it is absolutely fantastic. When I think of Moses, partly because I grew up watching the 10 Commandments for Charlton Heston, okay, much of my life. This is Charlton Heston, isn't it? This is my Charlton Heston. This is the one at the end of the movie with the white long. And you better believe that Sesame DeMille was doing it right after this right here. You better believe it. He was looking at Michelangelo's Moses and said, "Make me this," and that's what they did. When Sesame DeMille is the one who directed that 10 Commandments. This is the whole tomb. Ginormous wall.
Cute.
And then see, Moses is right here. And this fantastic seated and twisted figure. Again, we're not just seated, but we're seated and twisting. Some movement in our stillness. Is that not crazy? But it's movement in our stillness. So he's seated and he's twisted. Turn to the side there. That is an inspiration that Michelangelo saw when he was a little boy. And it is this piece right here which is in the Vatican Museum. This is an ancient Greek sculpture. It had been recovered when he was young, and they were cleaning it up and, looking at it. Now, obviously, if it's that old, all the appendages are going to be gone. The head, the arms, the legs are going to be gone. But your strongest part of the sculpture, which is the torso here, this is called the Belvedere torso. You ever want to look it up or see it when you're there? That's what's going to be there. But what a fantastic piece. We don't have much of it left, but look how fantastic it is. And it's ancient Greek. My God, the Greeks were doing this fantastic work. Movement. He was so inspired by this. Look at this movement and the muscle tone and all that stuff. It is actually signed by the Greek artist right here. You can see a little bit of the scribblings there. I can't tell you the guy's name right now, but the Greek, we know who did it. I mean, this is fantastic. So Mike sees that, very inspired by it, and he's going to put that into his Moses. Now this thing is just fantastic. Look at the beard.
Horn sticking up out his horn. Oh my gosh,
so
this totally makes
let's talk about the horns. Okay. What the deal is with the horns? Let me explain something to you. Almost all representations of Moses from Mike's time and before him all have horns.
Why?
All of them. Mistranslation. That's exactly what it is. It's a mistranslation of the Hebrew scriptures into Latin. Okay? Moses is actually described as having, quotes here, rays of the skin, here's what it says, rays of the skin of his face, which Jerome in the Vulgate had translated as horns. Okay? It's a mistranslation, alright? And then the word K-E-R-E-N, Keren, in Hebrew can mean either radiated light or grew horns. Well, we know it means radiated light, but they misunderstood it as grew horns after he saw God, right? So everybody that drew or sculpted or painted Moses until this is retranslated do it with horns. Everybody.
It's in the Da Vinci Code. I never understood it, and I get it now.
Okay? So it's just a mistranslation. All Christians are going to show him that way. So if you see old Bibles and you see horns, you know that it's an artist showing you from before the time that it was retranslated correctly. Okay? That's what it's about.
Poor Moses.
For Moses. That's
You make
exactly.
statues and you put horns on it, that's fine. But make him like awesome dragon horns.
Yeah. Well, you will see some paintings actually which combine them both. I've seen some old paintings and they actually combine them both. They'll have horns of light coming out of his head. Okay, it's like a combination of the horns and the rays of light. So I've seen it both ways. Yeah. That's very strange, to say the least.
Huh?
Now, isn't this just fantastic? He's so beautiful. It is said that when Michelangelo finished this, that he was so lifelike. He was working now, working on these little pieces and stuff, doing all this stuff right now.
All that we are seeing right now.
Some of the students that he had did some of these, like your little columns and things here. Some of his students did that. He did the larger sculpture pieces. Okay. But when Mike got done with it, that he was sitting there looking at it, and he took he had a little hammer with him, and he whacked it on the knee and said, "Speak." And the whack on the knee actually left it with a chip in his knee, which he still has. Let's see if I'm gonna back up.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Wrong picture. Right there, see?
Oh.
Whacked it
That's
on the knee.
hilarious.
Speak! And Moses said, "Ow, damn it!" No,
I doubt that.
I don't think he said that.
I don't think so.
I made that up.
Well, it's pretty convincing.
Yeah, I thought it was almost true.
Okay. I kind of believe it.
Okay. I'm gonna stop there for the day because I don't want to start the next one. It's too big.
I
Too big.
should be so bad.
You went over like 2 pieces of artwork.
I know, they're
What is
big.
They're
It's,
important.
when we
It's
get into these
Michelangelo.
last guys, it's
You cannot
really
sum
tough.
up
I know, we
Michelangelo.
have to go slow with
Yeah.
May I go to the restroom?
Yes.
Okay, so are the pieces.
Everybody say bye to Jerry.